Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hello people and welcome to Footy Judge Mo. Big up to everyone that is joining us, of course, from MHF. Where has this Arsenal been? Has it been like this all season and we're just deluded? Have Arsenal been great all season and we have been just blinded? What happened? Why Arsenal are playing good football? Gyökeres is turning into Erling Haaland suddenly, out of a sudden at the end of the season. Gyökeres is playing well. Miles Kelly playing well. But before I go on, hit that like button, people. Support the channel. If you are new here, make sure to subscribe. I just want to ask people something. I put a vote out. Hit the like button first and then vote. I want to know if people change their opinion. Will Arsenal win the league? Will Man City win the league? Will Arsenal win the double or Man City win a domestic treble? I want to know what people think, because there is a massive sound in the background. Where is it coming from?
See if this helps. Hang on.
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, it does. It does help. But big up everybody that is here. Hit that like button. We got City fan. We got... Is that the man with a Nigerian thing? Oh, my word, broski.
Kelechi from AFTV.
Whoa!
Hey, man. Listen. All right, representing for Africa today, man. Come on.
Come on. Come on. Hit that like button, people, and let's start right away. What happened? What changed today? Martin, what changed today? Why do Arsenal look good out of a sudden?
I don't think I'm the right person to ask, because I don't think anything really changed except the players performed to their level. And Fulham were perhaps a little bit compliant, but other than that, I think it's I mean, everyone I've seen now is using it as an excuse to pull out whatever agenda they wanted to say. Oh, this guy should have started here, or we should, Arteta finally played an attacking way or something. I just don't think he's been holding them back like that. So for me, it's not really a big change, but for others, I'll let them speak.
I thought it was a very big change, but anyway, Dan?
Yeah, I think there were some changes. I think like the thing that's given me a little bit of pause is all of this discussion around, a virus that went through Fulham, because it looked like it. Do you know what I mean? It looked a little bit like they all felt this wasn't the Fulham I was expecting. But to talk about what changed for us, Miles Lewis-Skelly in the midfield finally gave Zubimendi a rest, and I think he played outstandingly today. Didn't put a pass wrong. I think he put 2 out of 66 or 64 passes wrong. When you started with Eze in the middle, then you do give up a little bit of possession, but at the same time you're creating things. I thought Trossard looked decent today, but come on, man, Bukayo Saka. For all of the people who want to tell you he's done, he's washed, he'd never be the same player. Today, for a half, we saw the star boy that we all fell in love with. And if he can do that, in the remaining games, we're going to have a chance. And this wasn't even more important than just the simple fact we needed to win. We needed 1-1, and Gyökeres did exactly what you wanted him to do. I just think that we found a little confidence. Maybe it was the Atletico performance midweek. Maybe it was a little bit of that calming everyone down. But by and large, combination of Fulham completely underperforming, and they did that with us earlier in the season as well. And I think we took chances and played, getting a nice early goal, calmed us down.
You think you performed today because Fulham were not good, so you're not giving credit to Arsenal.
Well, Gyokeres got back with his girlfriend, by the way, and Trossard apparently might have had a divorce. Trossard was playing out of his skin today, so I don't know. There's some stuff going on behind the scenes. But Saka,
sometimes
he played his level today.
Maybe what I'm saying is that when you're nervous and you bring in certain profiles of player, the post-match interview from Miles Lewis-Skelly, this is a young guy, doesn't play with the same level of nerves. Eze doesn't play with the same level of nerves. Trossard's really confident. Saka is Saka, and Viktor Gyökeres. So we put on a team that plays with confidence, as opposed to Martinelli, Madueke, and Odegaard. And I think that we saw that today. So of course I'm giving us some credit, but I am also saying I can't be the only person who looked at that Fulham side and thought they're on Mars. Without Sander Berge in there, and they're not the team that I know they weren't on the beach. I know they had something to play for. But you wouldn't have known it watching them. I mean, I didn't remember them being in our penalty area for more than a couple of times in the first half.
Is that the first time we've seen Saka and Gyökeres link up successfully all season? Like a cross to a finish. Like, I think we've been suffering from not having the right players fit at the right time to play together and all in form. And this feels like a realization of their potential, because
before I go on to the details,
and Saka crossed to Gyökeres.
Can I do something before I go to details? Tarek, does that make you believe that Arsenal can win the league? This performance, as a City fan, does that change people's opinion?
So maybe I'm the wrong City fan, but I've always thought that they could win the league and probably should win the league. And then recently they've allowed us back in. This doesn't change anything for me. I expected them to beat Fulham. The question was how many goals they would beat Fulham by. A 3-0 for them is a good result. So to me, this doesn't change anything. I think your point about attacking intent, and we've had this conversation a couple of times. I think the XG today was 2.9 or something like that, which is higher than it's been for them in many weeks. So yeah, I think, again, where do you put the, what do you look at and say that's the difference, that's the change? Because I don't think Fulham looked good, and I didn't watch this whole game because why subject myself to that, right? I watched pieces and it was about what I expected, but Fulham didn't look great. So, we'll just have to see.
I think Arsenal made them look weak, in my opinion.
It's very well possible.
Because one of the things that I noticed today is the intent of players to pass forward, to get past players. As I mentioned, Ben White attacking still at 3-0 up. Mosquera still attacking. Calafiori still attacking at 3-0. The intent is different. It's similar to the Arsenal team that played in the beginning. I don't know why.
Goal difference is going to come into play.
I said that maybe Mikel Arteta was in his period or something over the last 2 months. But for some whatever reason, today, I saw players having the courage to go forward, to make forward passes, to run the channels. And people aren't afraid to pass the ball to the channels. And the only guy that today I thought he was underwhelming is Madueke when he came on, in my opinion. He got into really good positions. But if I'm watching Arsenal today, I think that he is like Mikel Arteta allowed players to not have the control and in terms of the controls, like the slowness that they normally do. Every time Miles Kelly got the ball, he had the courage to dribble in the center circle, to get past the player, to make the space for himself. Similar for Rice. Rice today was dribbling and getting past people in his own half, which is something that we haven't seen for a while from Arsenal. It's something that I think it was instructions before about let's slow the play down until we reach the wing. Because Arsenal attacks from the middle today. We saw Eze taking the center. We saw Calafiori being in the center. We saw Arsenal playing 1-2 around the 18. It's something that we haven't seen.
No, but we have.
I don't know why Mikel Arteta.
I don't want you to get away with that, because I heard people complaining about how, our left back and our right back are our most further forward players, like previously, and now you want to give them credit for like being there. I don't think that's quite how it is, and I think it's got a lot to do with us not being 9 points clear or 6 points clear or whatever anymore. It's like there's nothing left for us to lose. It's basically just go for it. And Dan, I don't know if you were at the game today. Did you notice any difference in how the crowd were to the players?
Listen, I think the crowd's always great, but I mean, you get a goal in the first 10 minutes, and that's going to settle some nerves hugely. And
well, we did that against Newcastle, but
yeah, and I think the crowd were great when we scored, but then immediately we scored, we did what we usually do, and then the crowd started getting on them. But actually, before the Newcastle game, it already started because of those short corners, which in hindsight is a mistake from the crowd. But I don't think the crowd is reacting to 10 minutes at the beginning of a game. They're reacting to the situation they're in.
But do you feel like the pressure's off now as such that like we've already lost it in most people's eyes?
I think that there are players who are going to respond differently. So if I think of Calafiori, I think of a player who plays without fear. If I think of Miles Lewis-Skelly, he's today he played in a position I fell in love watching him in as a youth player. He's a brilliant midfielder in the making. Saka,
but you're not going to tell me that he's better than Zub. Okay, this is where people do the revisionism.
What if? No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if you play Rice as a 6 and Zubi as an 8, you might get the same effect.
Which we did both. Didn't we do that?
Atletico. It did it at Atletico.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, listen, and Martin's going to roll his eyes at me because we've had a few back and forths, even though I'm always joking at them. But I'll say, actually, since Man City, Arsenal have been playing much better. I mean, Newcastle aside, because I think in the Newcastle second half was really bad. I think we fell backwards. But like, if you look at the Man City game, we were in the game, right? It was a back and forth game. It wasn't like dominance from Man City through the whole game. You look at the Atletico game, Arsenal were in control of the game, and then we gave away the penalty. But again, we're in the game, and towards the end of the game, we also were the ones more in control. And then today, I think a couple of things: you score early, you control the game better, right? But also as well, there was a lot of quick passing, which I think Arsenal play best when the ball just moving. Like, if you keep the ball moving and players moving into position and sort of switching positions through the whole pitch, you see a better form of Arsenal. I think, I don't know what it is, what it has been, but maybe they're just getting into the right time of the season to do this, because I know a lot of people have said, like, for example, PSG and Bayern and Atletico have rested players. Actually, sometimes players just want to play and you just want to keep that momentum going. I think, the Man City game, you start to see a switch. I know we lost the game, and a lot of people would look at that from a banter standpoint. But actually, if you look at the performance, it was getting better from that point.
No, I think you performed not great against Newcastle. I think the City game you performed good. You lost the game. But there's only one game. There's only one game. It's only one game.
Against Atletico, we played like we quietened the I forgot the stadium now, but we quietened the stadium because we just controlled the game. And that first half was phenomenal. We gave away the penalty, and we started to lose a little bit of control of the game, and then we got it back, right? Newcastle is the only game where after like 25 minutes, we lost control. We never seemed to get that back. So actually, Newcastle's the one where it's the outlier from the other performances.
What other performances you're talking about? I'm sorry. Sorry, Dan. What other performances you're talking about? It's Newcastle. It's Man City, Newcastle, Atletico, Fulham. In Atletico Madrid, you had a half. They had a half. Exactly. Against Newcastle, I thought you scored and you didn't perform that well. And then against Man City, where are the other games that you were talking about? I'm sorry.
I started from Man City, and I explained that. I said Man City was the first game where Arsenal were in the game, right?
Then you were reverted back against Newcastle.
And I said against Newcastle in the first 25 minutes, we were totally in control, then we lost it. That for me was the outlier. Against Atletico Madrid, it was back to, okay, we're in the game, we're in control of the game. Yeah, we conceded, but we also came back into the game, and then today we dominated. So I'm using the past 4 games to say, actually, if you look at the pattern over the past 4 games, Newcastle was the outlier in the sense that we lost total control of the game, but we still got the points there. However, the other games you can say actually Arsenal were playing better. It's just that the Man City results made it. If shot that hit the post, went in, a lot of people were saying very differently about that result, right? Or about that performance. The result masked what the performance looked like, basically.
Fair enough. What are you saying, Dan?
Yeah, I think there was something there as well, like the weight of expectation on the Atleti match as well, where I don't know, the players knew they hadn't played well against City, they knew they weren't in great form, didn't know what to expect at the Metropolitano, and then went there and actually should have probably won if it hadn't been for an overruled penalty. So I think that gave them confidence. I think there's a great deal of confidence that this team might get to a Champions League final, and that would be considered success on some level. I know there's people probably shouting at the screens now going, how can it be success to get to a final? Well, I think if you're an Arsenal fan and you've only ever done it once before 20 years ago, I think that is some measure of success.
I think that's not fair. I think getting to a UCL final is big for any club. And anyone
the banter's coming. You know the banter's coming. You know that everyone's going to go, oh, you made a final. I don't remember Tottenham wearing it as a trophy. Do you know what I mean?
They made sure we knew about it for a long time that they were in one. But even just the fact that we're there will make a lot of people very uncomfortable that we might win it.
It will. I don't think it necessarily quietens down our fan base in the way that winning the Premier League hopefully will do, and that's still on a knife edge, obviously. But I think that they played like they weren't as scared, and I think I would put that down to a good result midweek and players that he brought in that are almost the perfect players to play under pressure because they're not feeling it. We had a 45-minute cameo from Bukayo Saka today, which we haven't had for, I couldn't even tell you when he last played that well. We had Viktor Gyökeres playing up front and staying up front. You know, we had, instead of Martin Odegaard coming back to play as a centre-back, we had Emirates playing a bit like a 10 you would expect. You know, I think there is lots of actual structural reasons why we played better. But also, I don't know if I would take this one performance out of context because I don't know if Fulham... I don't know what was going on with Fulham either, really.
Ahmed, what do you think about that? Do you watch the game?
I only watched the highlights, to be fair. I was out all day, innit? Man, just watched the Michael Jackson for a minute, bro. Man was dancing, you get me? But yeah, I watched the highlights, innit? I only watched the highlights. I expected Arsenal to win today, to be fair. Sat their ground.
Does he still have a statue at Fulham, by the way?
Huh?
Does he still have a statue at Fulham, by the way?
No, they pulled it down. They pulled it, Michael Jackson.
I was going to say, I've been to Fulham, but I didn't see the statue, so I was going to be mad. I was going to be angry.
Yeah, it's Al Fayed's. When he owned it, he had the statue, but they pulled it down.
Yeah, I didn't actually watch the full performance. I only saw the highlights. That's pretty much it. Yeah, I only watched.
What did you think of the highlights?
I mean, your goal was well worked, didn't it? Yeah, Saka done his thing. Gyokeres tapped it in. That's pretty much it, bro. I don't really, based on the highlights, there's nothing really to make of it.
Look, when I saw Gyokeres do that layoff, I nearly fell over, and I was sitting down at the time. I was like, "What the heck? Who is this guy?" But yeah, to see them interplay together with some kind of cohesion was very out of character for the two of them because Saka has been quite focused on getting goals a lot, I feel, and then he's been injured as well. He hasn't really been the guy who's trying to provide as much. Because we put that pressure on him to be the provider and be the carrier of the team. But it was good to see them get an assist each for each other's goals. I think that's a real positive take. And I think with Rice, people are saying he's playing 6, but I think he's almost playing like an auxiliary centre back for the playing out from the back. The way he's the one
don't say that. Don't say that because some people's agenda by him in the centre back.
No, we won't say that then. But yeah, good times. Fulham, we appreciate it.
Would you also say that Arsenal stretched the pitch really wide and really got Saka into one?
The amount of diagonals you played today, the amount of times you switched the play quicker, it allowed Saka to have space and allowed Madueke to have space as well. Yeah. The difference is Saka, when he gets the ball, he actually makes things happen, which is one of the things I said about Bukayo Saka. Bukayo Saka, we were trying to talk about him versus an Olise or a Kvaratskhelia or something. It is so different when you play in a team like Arsenal that is not full of confidence versus you play in the Bundesliga for a team that wins most of the games. You can try 50 dribbles, right? If 25 of them don't come off, they won't. The highlight reel on Twitter will show only the successful ones. No one is on your back every single time you touch the ball. Same for Man City, by the way. Same energy. If you play in the Premier League, you don't understand my point, Ahmed. playing in a team that is dominant, like apart from Lamine Yamal, playing in a team that is dominant, like Bayern Munich, like PSG, which is you are winning most of the games. Literally, you don't have to train to win games in the Bundesliga for Bayern Munich. Bro, Gareth Bale said that he didn't even have to train for Real Madrid to win some games in La Liga. That gives you confidence when you step on the pitch.
You have that stardust about you, though. You still have to have that stardust about you, regardless, even if you're the top.
Bukayo Saka today, you watch Bukayo Saka today, he's getting back his players. Right foot, he's assisting. Left foot, he's finishing. He's doing everything. If this guy, and I'm saying, the problem with the likes of Palmer, the likes of Foden, and the likes of Saka is that you don't get leeway. In the Bundesliga and in League A, if you play for PSG Bayern Munich, you have leeway. You got leeway in terms of like the dribbles. You can try every kind of dribble under the sun and it will come off, right? Doku, for example, you're not going to tell me if Doku was playing for Bayern Munich, he wouldn't have 40 GA this season.
I don't even think Doku, if he played for Bayern Munich or PSG, he would have a ridiculous amount of GA. I just think.
I think he would.
I think he would. If Luis Diaz, we watch Luis Diaz, the confidence that goes through your vein when you play for these teams, like nobody's on your back.
Diaz, before the injury that he got for Liverpool and when they first bought him in January, was actually a good player. And obviously,
it's only 4 months, and you can't judge that based on 4 months.
No, but my thing is like with Diaz, like he's much better in front of goal in it and in the final third than a guy like a Doku.
But that comes with experience, with the confidence, with how many times you are in front of the goal. Like Doku playing for City is different. Like if Doku plays for Bayern Munich, how many chances he will get a game? 3, 4 chances a game. How many times he's going to be isolated with a defender with nobody covering him? 3, 4 times. You can watch Diaz all day long. Diaz at Liverpool, he went 18 games without scoring a goal and having an assist.
I was going to say,
18 games.
If you speak to a lot of Liverpool fans, they'll say that he was extremely frustrating. Like right now, he looks like he's like so clinical, but actually at Liverpool, they'll say he's very frustrating. Yeah, it's like sometimes listen. It was same thing with Sancho. I remember when Sancho came, and first thing I said was he looks like the kind of player that looks good in Bundesliga, but I don't think he'll ever look that great at the Premier League. Sometimes, no, let's not do that yet. But sometimes when a player moves to what might be not an inferior league, but they're not playing intense games every single season, like they might just look better. Like, don't get me wrong, Olise is obviously a fantastic player, right? But
maybe he's more talented than Saka in terms of like ball control and dribbling, maybe.
But there's a stark difference between the Olise that we saw at Crystal Palace to the one we're seeing now at Bayern Munich. And people will say, oh no, he always did that at Crystal Palace. No, he didn't. There's a reason why he didn't, because obviously
in the 23-24 season and even the season before that with Olise, you can still see the quality that he was possessing, even in an inferior, even in a team that was worse. It was very common knowledge, that with him, him joining, he obviously made the correct career choices. It's a very smart move, and he didn't go to Chelsea, and obviously he didn't go to United, because I believe if he went to Chelsea or a team like United, which is my club, right, I don't think he would be getting the best in the world shouts.
Right.
So that's why it's important to pick the right career. So I don't think it's the case where, if you're just a decent winger, and you join a bigger, but
Saka's not a decent winger. Saka's a very good winger.
I'm very good at
Ahmed, you just made
that's strong.
Ahmed, you made the point though. You said he had to go to the right environments, right, to fulfill that talent, right? So that's the point I'm trying to make. The difference between Olise now, and Olise 2 years ago, is night and day. A lot of people are pretending like he's the same player. He's not the same player. He's gotten better, but also
he's just got better players around him.
But also, he's got better players. But also the quality of opponents he's playing is also inflating his stats, right? And I'm not saying the Champions League. Obviously, he's doing this thing in the Champions League as well. But I'm saying in La Liga, Bundesliga, which I bet you, the 6 of us here, I bet you none of us watch Bundesliga on a week-to-week basis, so we don't even know what his average performance looks like. We just see the numbers.
Yeah,
right?
but we can even when watching like a guy like Olise at Palace, you can tell he's punching way above his weight at a team like Palace, in it punching way above his weight. You can just tell the quality. So you can say that.
So Eze, by the way.
Eze was, but not to the same level as.
Eze was more talented than Olise at Crystal Palace at some point.
At some point, maybe.
Sure. Yeah, he was.
At some point, yes.
Yes, he was.
No way.
Yes. Eze was
at some point.
let me give you an example. In 23 in 22-23, Eze was the one linked to a move to Man City, not Olise at that time. And I'm going to tell you the difference. Imagine if Eze plays for a Bayern Munich, a team that wins all the time, and doesn't have the pressure every single game to perform. I think Eze would have had the same effect that Olise has, because he's as talented. Actually, I think that Eze in ball control is actually better than Olise, in my opinion. I think he's stronger. I think he's physically strong. I think he's physically stronger. I'm not saying Olise is fantastic, but I think Eze, to do it in the center of the pitch is harder than doing it on the side, by the way. Everyone knows that. Everyone that plays football knows that to do it in the center of the pitch, where you have to scan 360 all the time, is harder than doing it on the line.
But you do realize that Olise, by nature, he's obviously a winger right now, but he's actually by nature a 10, just playing out wide. You made the point with
I don't know about that.
He's actually a creator, though, innit? By heart, though. Like he's obviously playing on the wide area, but if you slotted him in the 10, he wouldn't look out of place. You made the case earlier with Sancho when he was playing at Dortmund. He's not your typical out and out.
But I want to take that. I don't want it to be Eze and Olise, but I want to take it back to Bukayo Saka. The best of Bukayo Saka is one of the best wingers in the world. No one can tell me otherwise. He's not. Okay, I'm going to exclude a player that I think is head and shoulders above every winger that we have seen, probably from this generation, is Lamine Yamal, in my opinion. He's just head and shoulders above everyone else, in my opinion. I think he's ridiculous, right? But I think that the best of Bukayo Saka that carried Arsenal, that in the Arsenal's not great season, he still will get goals, assists, create chances left and right, is one of the best wingers. The problem is injuries and out of form. Out of form is a part of football. It's a part of football. And especially in a pressure situation where, with all due respect, if Olise is having a bad game at Bayern Munich and the team is winning 3-1, no one cares. You're still going to start the next game.
We don't even know. But we don't even, the thing is that we don't even know. And we wouldn't know exactly.
No one would know. Because with all due respect, no one sits down, like Sky Sports, ESPN in America, they don't go and watch the German analysts analyzing the Bundesliga week in, week out. People talk about La Liga more. People talk about the Premier League, right? So La Liga, when Vinny is not performing, you get analyzed everything. When Mbappe used to score, that's the difference. Mbappe scores goals and get over-analyzed on ESPN. Tarek knows what I'm talking about here. He gets over-analyzed. Vinny Jr. gets over-analyzed on ESPN, right? Because they cover La Liga here in America. Yeah. No one is over-analyzing Luis Diaz if he has a bad game and the team wins 5-0. No one is sitting saying, yeah, he's over-analyzed. Bukayo Saka, if Arsenal win a 3-0 game and Bukayo Saka have a good performance, people analyze him. People now are over-analyzing Semenyo even though City are winning. That doesn't happen when you play for League A. By the way,
well, it didn't happen when he was playing for Bournemouth either.
Like the only thing that you analyze is Ulise's good performance, because that's what's on the Twitter. That's why when ESPN are not gonna take part of their show or Sky Sport to talk about Olise having a bad game or an average game for Bayern, but they would take a part to talk about, Olise today scored a hat-trick, for example, right? We don't see the highlights of Olise. When I'm watching him in the Champions League, he's phenomenal, and I'm not denying that.
I can jump in on that one because I do watch Bundesliga, and the thing that I was always when people talk about the difference in league, obviously he's playing with better players than he was at Palace, and he is playing against weaker players than he was in the Premier League. However, it's his performances against teams like Paris Saint-Germain that make him stand out at the moment, that's putting him in the conversation, because he's not just doing this against, Union Berlin or whatever. He's doing this against Paris Saint-Germain. He's standing out in a really good team. As to the point that someone's made that he plays 10...
But Saka did this last season then?
Saka's been doing it for years.
Real Madrid.
Mo, we had the conversations about who's better, Foden or Saka, and then that doesn't happen so much anymore. And then it was who's better, Palmer or Saka, and then that doesn't happen so much anymore. I think Saka came into a really poor Arsenal team and has stayed in it, and he has pretty much been our only star player for season after season. And now that we are getting a bit more depth and we are better placed, he has worn some injuries as a result of the effort that he put in. He's played ridiculous amount of minutes season after season. And today you saw a glimpse of what people had forgotten was there. People have been they've been talking about him like he never did anything. You've got our own Arsenal fan base who are constantly saying, he's not this, he's never going to be a good footballer anymore. He's currently, apparently, I don't know how true this is, can't verify it, but but he's got Achilles tendonitis and he's on the pitch getting, you know, a cameo like that. And I'm worried about that because when I saw he was starting today, I was pleased, but at the same time you think, please don't injure him so that he misses a whole season or more. You know, he's had some bad injuries.
That today he was finally loose and free of his Achilles pain or something like that.
Yeah, but tendonitis isn't something that you run off in the short period of time that he's apparently run it off. So I don't know. Listen, I will trust the medical experts because
he's been resting for a while.
This is how I see it. Yeah, if there's 4 tiers. This is how I see it. The people that's going to disagree. There's 4 tiers, yeah.
There's going to be more tiers after this.
I'm putting
do you know what I mean?
There's 4 tiers, yeah. And you have to. Let's just name it A, B, C, and D, yeah. There's 4 tiers, right? In terms of wingers, yeah, I'm putting Saka in tier C, and I'm putting Yamal by himself in number 1 and number 2.
God.
Number 1.
Sorry.
Let him finish. I want to hear him. Let him finish. No. I need to hear his explanation of why this happens.
So number one is Yamal. That is clear. No one comes close to him.
I agree with this, by the way. I agree with this.
Number two, I'm putting the likes of Othman Dembele and Elise and Kvaratskhelia, right? And people are going to disagree. I would still put Rodrigo there because he's just been injured. Absolutely.
Rodrigo
in the third tier, yeah. Hold on.
Let him finish.
In the third tier, I would personally put the Sakas, the Rafinhas, and
the yellow, right?
The Diaz's in it. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite flavor of ice cream?
Can I actually be? Okay. Let me step in. I actually see his point of view.
No,
because if you're talking about recency bias, okay, hold on. I'm gonna tell you what. But you're gonna open your mind about how he's thinking about it. He's thinking about it from someone who has watched Saka struggle over the last 18 months with injuries most of the time. It's someone that Saka's been in and out of the team. So if he puts Yamal up there by himself, it's fair. But we have watched.
That's the point.
But I'm gonna ask you something. So I'm gonna ask you a question. To be fair to Ahmed, I'm gonna ask you guys a question. Is Saka the same level as the Ballon d'Or winner Ousmane Dembele? Before we go to anybody else.
No.
But his issue. I only have one issue with his list.
I think it's the same as me.
But
I think it's the same issue you have.
So just a bit, because people, I don't care about Rodrigo, by the way. Ahmed has obsession with Rodrigo. But
that's my issue with his list, though.
Mine is different.
But we can talk about it. But if we all agree that Dembele is a level above Saka, just because of the Ballon d'Or, because what he did in the Champions League, winning his team at Champions League, I see his point of view. What I disagree with him is as you guys. How is Rodrigo the same level as a Dembele and Saka's below that? Like,
but there's another point here.
Can I say one more thing? Saka last season in PSG took Nuno Mendes to the cleaners. To the same as what Ulisse did to the cleaners.
Mo, you're doing what?
Saka's the only one of the only
the same thing that you said.
Can I just say that? Hold on. Let me finish this. Same as when Thierry Henry and Jamie Carragher and the ESPN guys and the TNT guys said, Ulisse took Nuno Mendes to the cleaners. But Saka did take Nuno Mendes to the... He's the only Arsenal guy. He literally did take him to the cleaners in the game.
I've only seen 3 wingers.
Arsenal lost 2 games.
I don't know what the game you're talking about. There's 3 wingers.
No. I'm talking about Arsenal lost the 2 games and Saka, his ratings are higher than everyone else in the Arsenal
There's
team.
3 wingers that I've seen absolutely destroy Nuno Mendes, and that is Elise, Yamal as well in one of the fixtures, and Sancho. Those are the only 3 wingers that I've seen where they cooked them. Yeah. Karen, yeah. And as for Rodrigo, by the way, Mo talking about saying, I've seen Saka turn up against Real Madrid. Bro, I've seen Rodrigo turn up in massive games,
against Man City.
He's turned up against us, and it was like the one game out of his whole
against Man City. Even Marino, their own player, their own player was literally talking highly about how sick this Rodrigo guy is. And obviously, when you're playing for Madrid, a big club, right, and the highlight is on pretty much Mbappe and what's his name and Vinny. People overlook what Rodrigo's doing in it because he's not the main guy, but he's quality. He's amazing.
Okay. Wait. He's very good. Me and Ahmed had this discussion,
and he's a sick performer as well.
And I debunked it when I said
I didn't anything.
Yeah, I did. We looked at the number of.
But you like to convince yourself that you debunked.
We looked at the number of goals and assists Rodrigo had right through the season last year.
I don't care about that.
And Saka had been injured during that period of time.
I don't care about the output, bro. I don't care about the output.
Okay, that's fine. We looked at it and. Saka being injured.
You agree with the Kvaratskhelia point, by the way?
Can I finish my point?
I'm a little iffy on it, but not as big as for me for the Rodrigo one.
we looked at after Saka came back from injury, and he and Rodrigo, even though Rodrigo had been playing through that period of time, had the same number of goals and assists, right?
I don't care about
and
that.
then Ahmed said, "Oh no, he's been the best player with that score." And I said, "How many goals have you watched? Sorry, how many games have you watched?" And he said, "Something like 7 games." And I was like, "Well, wait, you've made an opinion that he's the best player at Real Madrid over 7 games, and we're in like February at a time."
I've watched
made
loads
no
of games
sense.
of Rodrigo. That's not.
I asked
Can I just
you,
make a point?
I asked you, and you said 7. Go on.
Okay, Olu, do you agree with the Rodrigo point?
I think
I mean,
it's
the Kvaratskhelia point. You agree with the Kvaratskhelia point?
I think Kvaratskhelia is on the same level as Lamine Yamal. I think.
Okay, you think he's on the same level? Do you know how much?
Yes.
Tell me his output. Do you know his output?
Wait.
Hold on. What's that?
Yeah,
Can we let
yeah,
other
yeah,
people
yeah,
talk?
yeah.
Can we let other people talk? I need Dan and Martin.
I'm going to get a migraine.
How much-
Tariq actually had a point that he wanted to make.
I just want to put it out there that Dembele at one point recently was seen as a bum, and so was Rafinha. It wasn't that
Thank
long
you.
ago. They were seen as
When was
not
Dembele a
fulfilling
bum?
their potential.
Oh, but
Dembele
how
was
great was he
someone
at
who
Barcelona?
finished.
Do you think he was smashing it?
I was like, his
Is that
time
what
in
you're saying?
Barcelona wasn't.
Man had
He
injuries
wasn't
and
perceived
that.
as doing that great.
No,
but I
he
think
wasn't.
that's perception.
But I'm just saying that
changes a little
the
bit, whatever.
potential is there for Saka to be the best in
There
the
you
world.
go.
No,
But
there's
you
no
have to
no,
get-
there
Well,
isn't.
no,
You
can I
have
just follow up on that?
Well,
Sorry.
potential
Go,
is
Go, Dan.
Yeah, because I'm just going to follow up on that point. The false equivalency is always made. Is Saka now as good as Dembele was in his Ballon d'Or winning season? No. But is Saka at his best season better than Dembele was at his worst season at Barcelona? Yes. So what we're saying is that players come into form. Right now, Lamine Yamal, Kvaratskhelia are kind of outside of the normal conversation. Elise's on fire. Will Elise still be great in 3 years? I don't know. Very few players last that long. It's one of the things that makes Mo Salah so special, that he lasted that long and was a consistently top performer. The reality here is, when somebody starts off like that in football, we can just shout at each other all night because, in my opinion, Lamine, it's like, well, my favourite ice cream is chocolate, and then after that, I don't, and then everyone goes, oh, no, I like vanilla. And it's like, we're just, in numbers is how you define it. When you say, I don't care about output, it's like, all right then, well, play my uncle then. Do you know what I mean? Because he won't get any output either. I don't know what you like in a footballer. What I
So
like
you
in a
rate
footballer.
Kvaratskhelia, by the way, I'm assuming, yeah?
Have you ever met someone who doesn't?
Right, so you rate Kvaratskhelia, right? And
No, but have you
value
ever
output.
met anyone who doesn't?
Okay, no, I'm just asking. So you obviously rate output,
Yeah,
right?
but I'm also asking, have you ever met someone who doesn't rate
I'm just asking a
Kvaratskhelia?
question, innit? If you actually
So am
look at
I.
Okay, if you look at Kvaratskelia's output the last 3 seasons, at PSG he's got 7 goals right now, 4 assists. Last season he got 4 goals, 3 assists, and the season before at Napoli, he got 5 goals, 3 assists. Even at Napoli, because
But I thought you didn't care about output.
I'm naming you because I'm
All
literally
you're doing
naming
is
you.
talking about output.
I am naming you the output, showing you that his.
I know what you're
output was
doing.
so
I'm
low.
here. I'm
Hold on,
with you.
Let me finish. I'm showing you that.
I'd
his
love you
out-
to finish.
bro. let me finish here.
Let him
His
finish. Let him
output-
finish. Dan, let him finish. Dan,
His
let him finish.
output, is considered really low, right, for someone who values it really high. Yet he's still standing out because he's actually a good performer and he's operating at a world class level. That's why people talk about him. Yeah, you can't just fully focus on the stats because by that logic, are we going to say that Rafinha is at that tier because he gets you goals and assists or whatever, bro? Hell no. Hell no.
I hear that.
No
but
one's
the
gonna
problem
put
is
that.
the problem is still that you say Rodrigo, and I keep
Why are you saying that you're acting like Rodrigo is Semenyo or Luku level, bro?
I have looked.
Rodrigo's a high level player.
Bro, I have looked at Real Madrid fans talk about Rodrigo, and they absolutely slander him.
Bro,
So,
Roger,
I
they
understand what-
slandered Ronaldo and Benzema, bro. Like,
See,
what's that?
you
They slandered
don't,
the
you
Bale.
don't watch Real Madrid week in, week out.
I
to make an
bro, I
opinion like
subscribe to Premier Sports and I actually watch
you're
Madrid week in,
lying
week out.
out of your You're lying right now. You don't watch Real
Wallahi,
Madrid
I'm
week
not
in,
lying.
week out. And first of all, he's injured right now, so you're not even watching him right
Osman
now.
Dembele, by the way,
Last
because
season-
people said that he
last
was
season-
injured at Barca. He actually played over 30 games in his last 2 seasons at
And he was-
Barcelona, and he was actually quite good in the last couple of years.
30
So
games, that's
people can't
15
lie.
games a season. 15 games over 2
He
seasons.
wasn't playing
double
15 games. He played over 30 games towards his last season at Barca.
You said
played
two
We
all
are
of
seasons.
them.
jumping about a bit, aren't we now?
Yeah, we are.
You know,
No, but you can't just lie,
what's the
bro.
central
guy
point?
played-
The
guy
central
played
point
over
you
35 games, and the season before that he played 32.
Okay.
And
You just like being contrary. You just like being contrary. That's what it is,
yeah,
basically.
like
Not
just
really.
say a
Not
thing
really.
and then say
you guys are
another
just
thing.
saying
And
that he
then,
played 15 games, which is not true.
no,
No,
what
you said-
we're
you said
doing
that-
is we're getting
Semantics,
glitched a lot by you.
semantics.
You're just
We
every
can't-
time
we can't
you can't be nailed
we
down. You
can't do
didn't answer the
semantics.
question if you ever
Ahmed-
met someone who doesn't.
Ahmed-
rate
We can't do
Kvaratskhelia.
semantics. I'm just gonna mention one thing about this, which is what Ram put here in the comment. Just quickly, guys. One of the things that people don't read is the number of minutes you play. Like Kvaratskhelia has 1,300 minutes and he has 11 GA. Number one, the amount of times you come fresh, the amount of times, that's a very good. But Saka and the guys in the Premier League, they got so many minutes that they have to play all the time that I can't compare that to the people that play in the Bundesliga. With all due respect to everyone, you can be so fresh in the Champions League because you don't have to play 90 minutes in Liga or the Bundesliga because you can get arrested all the time. I'm gonna say a statement, and I truly believe that. If in 23-24 Saka went to the Bundesliga to play right winger for Bayern Munich and Michael Olise went to Arsenal, we would be sitting here saying that Michael Olise developed, but we would not be talking about Michael Olise being better than Saka. We'd be talking about Saka today being one of the best wingers in the league. Maybe that goes for Rodrigo as well. Maybe that goes for Rodrigo. Because no one last year or the year before was talking about Luis Diaz being even in the same conversation with Bukayo Saka. Maybe you are. I'm talking about the general. I'm talking about the general consensus, right? But Luis Diaz goes and having a 40 GA season for Bayern Munich, dribbling
47.
Marquinhos in the Champions League. Dribbling Marquinhos in the Champions League, bowling in Bayern Munich. And people are talking about, Luis Diaz is better than Foden. It's better than Saka. It's better than this guy. Why? Because in football, confidence gives you leeway in terms of playing and how you play. What I mean by leeway is that you can get away with things because you're so confident. The dribble goes by. In the Premier League, it's so much pressure, in my opinion, in La Liga as well, which is why I give the guys that do it in La Liga massive respect because there's so much pressure in La Liga as well. Right, all the time. You don't rest players, but Barcelona don't rest players. Atlético Madrid rest the players today. Real Madrid don't rest a lot of players in La Liga, right? But Bayern Munich do rest players. PSG can literally start their second front three and still win the game 4-0, and will win Ligue 1. No questions. Man City can do that. Liverpool can do this. Arsenal can do this. Nobody can do this. Salah, Firmino, and Mane played most of the games. Most of them. Jack Grealish, because he was relying on him, played most of the games. Sterling and Sane used to play all the games.
We've seen PSG against the Premier League teams, bro, and they smoked them in it, pretty much. We've seen them play against the Liverpools. We've seen them play against Aston Villas.
No, but you're missing the point.
Go on.
Don't say that's the game.
You're missing the point because the point in confidence is that when you play for a team like Bayern Munich and the other team, and you play like Ligue 1, you're literally have confidence in dribbling all the time. All the time you can dribble. All the time you can shoot because you score.
And also they've got the ability to do so as well. Like you
can't tell me that Saka doesn't have the ability to shoot and dribble and cross.
Not to the same level as the players that I've just named you in the wingers. Not to
That's
Listen, no. Let me tell you something for free. Yeah, you can. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with saying Saka is a good winger, but let's not overdo it with comparing it to the other wingers. That's what I'm saying.
I value consistency above flash in the pan, purple patches that'll happen to all.
There's no purple patches.
Saka has been
the players that I've named
at the highest level since he got that right wing position at Arsenal, and I think that Mo Salah has shown that those players should be held in higher regard if you can continuously do it wherever you are. Not just like, I was good here and I was good there every now and again, or when I got lots of rest, I
want to go back to Arsenal talk and then we'll go back to them. Myself, Kelly, and Zubimendi. Do one Rabona Ahmed will put you alongside Mbappe. That man has Don's picture bigger. Oh
is that the actual Don or?
Is that? No, not. Of course, that's not. Big up my man. Ahmed always has an agenda on every Arsenal player.
There's no agenda.
Have it. Listen, he's allowed to have it.
There's no agenda, by the way.
I've got an agenda on Ahmed, so there you go, man. And if
Ahmed rates Sancho on the same level as Mbappe. That's not true.
I don't actually rate Mbappe as highly as people do in it, but he's still a good player.
So do you rate Sancho better than Mbappe then?
Yeah, Sancho's more talented than Mbappe. Yeah.
Mo, continue. Let's just ignore this guy.
There's nothing wrong with that.
That's cool. Again, everyone's allowed an opinion. Just some.
I feel like the younger generation these days have rate like a baller on some other team higher than they do.
Can I add something up? What about Gyökeres today? Why did he play well today? Why did he play well today? What happened? Why did Gyökeres play well today?
Have you ever heard of a broken clock being right twice a day?
That's his 14th goal in the Premier League, so the clock's right 14 times, no?
Listen, I've got an agenda of Gyokeres, and unfortunately, I need my agenda to to win. Listen, he played well today. He played well. I wouldn't lie. When I've got an agenda, I'll say I've got an agenda. I'm not like some people here.
Naming no names.
Naming no names.
You don't like the opinion in it. Just say that, bro. Don't be sensitive.
Look, you see that? Do you see guilty conscience? It could have been any one of the 6 people.
No
here,
one.
but
No names were mentioned.
The guilty
No, but
conscience
obviously,
here.
you guys, it's a sensitive topic, isn't it?
What is?
Ahmed and Ahmed.
Ahmed,
Saka.
I don't think it's a sensitive topic.
Because Mo, I
I'm gonna be
saw
honest, I'm gonna
Hassan
be-
on your channel, by the way. I saw Hassan when your Chelsea say Ousmane Dembele much better, Elise much better. When I'm saying it, it's different, bro. That's what I've clocked. I've seen it, by the way, on the
Sounds says a
NHS.
lot of crazy stuff.
But
So
I have the same opinion, Ahmed. I said
Yes, but when I say it,
2
though,
years-
it gets
2 years
highlighted
ago-
as agenda. That's the problem.
because people
It's
think
not-
that you have an
there's nothing
people
wrong
think
with
that you
saying
have an
Saka.
agenda.
Yeah,
I know,
but
guys. I know
Go
for a
on.
fact. I know for a fact that Ahmed. I speak to Ahmed outside. I know he doesn't have an agenda. Ahmed has
the way I say
opinions
it.
that may be different than others, right? Like he may be different than others. He rates technical ability. I think what he doesn't see is that Saka has a lot of technical ability. It just wasn't molded like what Elise did in the Bundesliga, because I think the Premier League, it is very hard to shine in terms of like dribbling and stuff like this in the Premier League, in my opinion. That's what I think.
I'll tell you what the honesty is. It's basically everyone's allowed an opinion, but your opinion should be able to change when people make an argument. It feels like when people make an argument, you don't even want to accept the arguments. You just got.
You may just not agree with your
Exactly.
counterpoint, though.
It's just.
I mean, so it's okay to not change it if you don't agree with the counterpoint.
But
You can tell from his review of the highlights that he didn't think Saka did anything special today. Like he was just like, oh, something.
Anyway, it's not about Ahmed. Let's not make this an Ahmed show.
He doesn't like Saka. It's fine.
Let's make it about Ahmed.
I
Let's
just
make it
said
about
like
Ahmed.
2 minutes ago, he's just a good winger in it. So if,
Yeah,
There you go. So
that's
it's
right.
fine.
if you think from that, like, oh, he just doesn't like him, then fair enough, isn't it?
That's fine. That is fine. Listen. If he scores 100 goals and wins the World Cup, he'll still be a good winger. So
Yeah,
let's
Walcott
just
scored 100
forget it.
goals. So
So I mean.
So I
Anyways,
think we're going the opposite
you're correct.
direction because again, if he scores 100 goals and wins the World Cup and all this stuff, yeah, but of course. But again, that's not the case. That hasn't happened, and I think it's okay. I think it's okay. I think it's okay
Take
for
us to Gyokeres,
for
Tarek.
you
Take us to
guys
Gyokeres
as
after.
Arsenal fans to rate him higher because you watch him every week. Yada yada. You're gonna rate him higher. You have a connection, even if it's just like not personal, but you have a connection to Saka. You want to protect him. That's fine.
don't.
And for other people to not see it the same way, I think that's fine too. Again, I disagree with him from the standpoint of putting Saka. My disagreement was Rodrigo, right? I have a disagreement with Rodrigo, but I think it's personally fair to say that he's in that third tier based on the way that he set it up. But
Yes, but Ahmed has never said anything nice about Saka in 100.
yeah, but again, that's football fans or other teams, right? I mean,
yeah, he's a United
right now. So I love Phil Foden, but right now he's not performing, and I think it's okay to say Phil Foden is not performing. So if you come on here and you tell me that Saka's better than Phil Foden, right now I have no argument against that point. I may disagree long term and over the course of time, but right now I can't really argue that. And to be fair, Saka has not been great recently. He's not been great. Now he played well today. Again, I think his goal was maybe a little bit deflected from what I saw on the highlights or whatever. But again,
It wasn't.
okay, fair. That's fair.
Keep
But
your
again,
eyes-
I think those are just again. I'm not going to sit up here and defend Saka because I'm not an Arsenal fan.
You started this now.
But again, you can say what you want about Phil Foden because again, the reality is he's not been good enough to get into our team. So I have no problem saying that. I think it's okay to say Saka's not been great. That's the reality.
Foden has a very high potential level, and that he's just not reaching it right now. Like he should be in one of these conversations as one of the top players.
And there's context, right? There's why is Phil not performing well? Why is Saka not performing well? We just talked about him having, or I think Dan mentioned how he's got a Achilles tendonitis or whatever, right? So those things matter. Mm-hmm. Is he the best winger in the world? No, he's not. That's just well, I can't say objectively. Subjectively, he's not
Currently,
the best winger in the
he's
world,
not.
and that's okay. I don't think any of you guys are saying that. So it's
Objectively,
okay.
Nobody's
Wait,
the best winger in the world.
I'll say
I mean, that's
objectively, objectively is not the best winger in the world. But I would say if you're saying there's 100,000 registered football players in the world, he is in the top 100. That's a bloody high bar to be in.
Okay. Well, look, I mean, the thing here is this is what happens all the time. Like you can, I don't expect anyone else to like Saka or not like Saka. We do see him every week. We know he's had injury problems this season. He's been consistent for us. He plays really well. I think it tends to be true that you have to link output and you have to link trophies and you have to link what the fans are seeing, because fans love their own players all up and down the country. You know, Hull City have their favourite players, Arsenal have their favourite players. Saka just happens to be one of my favourite players because at a time where we didn't have a lot of flair or ability, he stood out. I think this whole thing about, you know, objectively who's the best winger, no one's ever going to agree on who the best winger is. Is it Keenan Yildiz? Is it, you know, is it Keenan Yildiz now because he's younger? Is it Lamine Yamal because he's young? No, the point is there is choice. You know, I think Saka gets into quite a lot of the first teams in the Premier League. I think we can all agree on that, right? Maybe he doesn't get into Man City's, but I'm not 100% sure he doesn't. If he turned up at Man City, I think they'd give him a spot. So if he could
he
play
would be
for
our right winger today. Absolutely.
Okay, so which team is he not getting into in the Premier League? And then there's maybe 4 or 5 teams in the world where you could have a discussion. Maybe he doesn't get in. Maybe he doesn't get in ahead of Michael Olise. But when they were both playing in the same league, I don't remember people thinking Olise was better than Saka. When you look at Havertz, yes, he is at the moment. And to the point that his output isn't great, was he played like 14 Champions League games and has a 15 goals contribution, you know, goals and assists contribution, GA. That's pretty good. You know, and to say that he doesn't have output in Liga, and I don't know how often they turn up. I don't think they turn up and play their best every week because I don't think they have to. I think if you're 2 or 3-0 up, you're not going to break your neck playing football. In the Premier League, that doesn't happen. You have to be on it. You have to be on your Dean the whole time because there's never going to be a point, even 3-0 up against Fulham. Well, let me use the Man City example, right? Man City have beaten Fulham. It's all done and dusted. The game ends 5-4. You know, so I think that's what players like Saka's getting kicked about in a Premier League, which is more physical.
Ligue 1 is just as physical as well. Just saying.
Which one, Ligue 1?
Ligue 1, yes.
Ligue 1 is just as physical as the Premier League.
Yes, it's a very physical league.
I'm out. Like that's me. Like I don't know where that's come from.
It is a very physical league, but what Ahmed is missing is that
the defenders are as quick. In the Liga?
They are very quick, actually.
Okay, so
let me, guys, if you let me finish, I'll under.
That's why
What you are missing is that yes, the Liga is very physical, but PSG can turn up with different 11 and still win the games. Arsenal can't do that.
Even the
no one can do that. Man City let their guard down. They were 5-1 up, 5-4 with Donnarumma saving on the line in the last minute. That's what happened. That's the difference.
No, even the physical thing. Most players who come from other leagues always say the hardest thing to get used to is the pace and physicality of the Premier League. Players who have played in leagues, you say, physical as well. They literally will always say the hardest thing to get used to is not a technical ability. It's not like, the number of goals. It's always, they always say the first thing to get used to is games coming thick and fast. You're playing almost every 3 days, and how fast and how strong teams are. So it's hard to get used to. That's why teams like PSG and so like teams in European leagues, also with the winter break as well, which we don't have in the Premier League, they have more. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, but basically, it's not as
vacations.
It's not as demanding as the Premier League. The Premier League is.
Can we go to Gyokeres after this, guys? Can we talk about the actual performance of today? Sunra said Arsenal are shit and getting relegated. Yes, 100%. Sunra, absolutely. Mazus Kelly better at carrying and breaking the press than Zubimendi. Here is where I disagree with this a little bit. He might be better in carrying the ball and turning. But you aren't going to tell me that Zubimendi can't pass the ball forward. He's actually very good at passing the ball forward. Mm-hmm. I don't know why today Mazus Kelly was given the license to pass forward and Zubimendi doesn't. Maybe Zubimendi is injured or something.
Maybe it's Fulham.
That's why they bought him.
And he can't. And he did this in the beginning of the season.
I've seen him do it in the start of the season. I've seen him do it
people lie and tell me Zubimendi all season was shit. You're lying. He wasn't.
Zubimendi is an attribute. That's Zubimendi's best attribute, and he's the best in your midfield in terms of doing that. Hence why he was brought as the number 6 to break the line.
Yeah, but he fell off a little bit recently, so people were.
Yeah, he did after the Man United game. I think the Man United think the Man United mistake for somewhat.
Prior to that United game, bro, he's been quality. He's been good. I like Zubimendi. I think he's a good player, bro. He's a good player.
I think he's a good player as well. You just need to get.
He's
Like,
good in
China-
ways that I didn't expect.
You
He's
know
very
what?
good at winning duels and running and
You know,
doing covering
wallahi,
ground.
I am tired of. Sometimes I get tired of doing content
This
because
is the Premier League, Mo, so you got to get used to it.
it's
Duels are like, the
you know I
most
get tired of
out any
because
player.
I get tired of doing content because I'm
I'm just
like, in the
saying, I
beginning
didn't
of the
expect
season-
a guy that's a passer to be good at duels. That's it. I'm not saying rate it highly.
Yeah, but like this is like people change their opinion on a player, and I don't mind you changing your opinion on the player form dips, like a Zubimendi, like a Saka, like whoever, right? Like a Ben White, for example. But people, I'm going to give you an example. People tell me Ben White has always been shit. You're lying. Ben White 2 years ago was the best right back in the league. Ben White 2 seasons ago, he was the best right back in the league. Everyone wanted a Ben White. He was solid defensively. He's great on overlapping. He's good physically. He was a shit house. He was everything. But people tell me, I told you Ben White is shit. You tell me 2 years later when he had injury. Oh, I told you Arsenal are boring and shit. But Arsenal weren't shit in the beginning of the season.
You know, even when
Hold
the
on, let me
players-
finish. Finish this. It's the same as Zubimendi. We told you Zubimendi is shit. You're lying. Because you told me that when Zubimendi was doing well for Arsenal, when Zubimendi was one of the best midfielders in the league then, when Arsenal were not conceding goals, he was passing forward, he was dictating the play. When Odegaard was injured and Eze was out of the team, and it was Mikel Merino rising Zubimendi. And Zubimendi was the one who was dictating the game. And people tell me now, I told you Arsenal are shit. It's the same thing. Mo, you always say that Arsenal were good. Yes, they were good, and then they fell off. Same as you told that City were bad. Yes, City were bad to the point that Tariq gave up on the league, Martin gave up on the league, Kelk gave up on the league,
What?
Nathan gave up on the league. Like
Sorry?
people keep saying, oh, you told us City were bad. But they were bad. City weren't good. City went games when they were drawing left and right. The defense was allowing a lot of chances. Today, Arsenal showed me that, yeah, you are capable of what I saw you doing in the beginning of the season. You just needed maybe a tactical change, maybe
Do you
needed
think
that.
the other team has more to do with that than we do? Because quite often teams set up to stop us doing what we're best at. That's obvious to do. We've done the same things over for 4 years. So a team like Fulham, which everyone's sick, you might just think that we did a lot of things different, but the actual end result is just Fulham were not pressing us like Simeone was, or we weren't doing a bunch of things. It wasn't as hard, you know.
So can I put on this Zubimendi thing? Can I just raise one thing? So one of the things that when he was meant to go to Liverpool, that they said he rejected was he had homesickness, or he had issues with homesickness. And do you remember this, when Arsenal played in the Champions League and the players made a big fuss about going to him? It wouldn't surprise me if there's something outside football that's affecting him in football, because we know some of these players. I mean, Dan, you're old enough to remember when Perez first joined Arsenal, and he was absolutely useless. Remember, we were like, who the heck? Like, who did
And
he
it's
sign
funny
him?
because it came from, you know, when you were saying earlier, the thing that Pires always said was he could not get used to the pace and power of the Premier League. Now, I know it's 20 years ago, but yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing. So again, I was going to say with Zubimendi, like I won't be surprised if there's external factors affecting his game, because even when people say it's overplayed, I mean, I'm sure he'll play something similar to what he's. I saw he said that what he's playing to at Arsenal, maybe less. I don't know.
No,
Maybe he's being asked to do something that he doesn't normally do. Like he covered the most distance in the Premier League a couple of weeks ago, like for the whole season. Where I don't think you're normally asking your six to be the guy that's running into the box and heading it in, right? So
there's another thing that sort of blends on both of you saying as well, which is that like if his strength is picking out that line splitting pass, you have to have someone there to pass to, and if there isn't anyone there, then you kind of hold on to the ball and you give it to somebody else, and then they give it back to you, and before you know it, it is fatiguing. First season in a new country, this is a player who spent his entire life in one place. I don't think it's an accident that we signed Marino, that, you know, we've got a huge Sociedad connection. Odegaard played there. So I think he probably came to Arsenal because he thought he would feel most home. But it's brilliant you brought up Pires, because I thought maybe I shouldn't, because it's been that long ago. But the reality is, Robert Pires in his first season was pretty awful. And that Leeds game, the first home game at Highbury, and we lost 2-1. And I had friends phoning me up going, what the hell happened? I said, don't worry about it. Pires is incredible. He just suddenly had a pre-season break. He had a bit of a rest. You know what? When people like Hassam's going, oh, he needed a break or whatever, it's like, these are human beings. And I don't think that just because a lot of people flip-flop and go, I think he's crap, I listen to people like Steven Gerrard say he's brilliant. And
Don't
am I
worry
going
about
to
his
trust
arm.
Steven
Zubi is
Gerrard?
like his Saka for Ahmed. Like Zubi is the one that got away for Liverpool.
I know, and that's all
He's-
right to be
he's got
salty.
an agenda.
There's nothing wrong with being salty, Hassan. Like
I
you can
understand,
do
bro.
it,
Come on,
but
man.
you know what? He's a good player, and you might not always see what a good player can do until they're out of the team. Today, though, I think he had a bit of a rest, and I don't think it hurt us. And I think what made me laugh though was Norgard must be sitting there thinking, "Am I ever going to get a game? I'm never going to touch grass again, am I? This is it."
He's the coach, man. He's the secondary coach. He's just
He's
there.
win
Like,
the dog's dog walk.
exactly.
And I move on. I have seen Ahmed a couple of years already. He's consistent about Arsenal players. He's very consistent. Even when Saka was getting 27 GA, Ahmed was consistent about his
So
opinion.
what does that tell you then? It's an
He
agenda.
just doesn't rate the guy as highly as you think.
It's an agenda.
It's not an agenda. If someone doesn't rate a player highly as you
Whatever
are,
they
it's not
do.
an agenda. It's an opinion.
Whatever
It's
they
called an
do.
opinion.
What did you say? You just said when he scored 27 goals. Listen, for example, if
I put
I
Rafinha
think
in that same
if
tier, by the
Ahmed-
way. You got over
if
30.
Ahmed-
games.
if Ahmed is right now, I think Ahmed is awful. If Ahmed starts to play well, I will change my opinion on Ahmed right now. I'll say, do you know what? As a player right now, he's much better. Because guess what? I'm grown enough and I'm old enough and I've seen enough football to know players change over time. But to hold an opinion when things are clearly different to the opinion, for me, is where I'm just like, that's what grates
So,
me.
not to advocate for him because he can advocate for himself, but is there not space for him being consistent regardless of the output, right? So I can say that. So NBA, right? I'm an NBA fan. I'm US, so whatever. Steph Curry, who takes a lot of 3-point shots from deep, way deep, that other people shouldn't take. And they go in for Steph Curry. That doesn't mean that it's necessarily a good shot. It just means that shot happened to go in. We can't be outcome based in our opinion. Well, because it worked, it's okay. But if it doesn't work, it's not. If Doku puts the ball into and Holland happens to get to it, then and scores from it, it's great. But if he doesn't, then he can't hit a pass, so he can't do. No, it's the same play that exists. The outcome was slightly different. What you just said was because the outcome was different, then he should change his opinion. He could have the opinion that, hey, he's a good player, which is what he said. He's a good winger, but he's not great. And we can't necessarily be dictated or manipulated by the output or the outcome.
Let me ask you a question, though. Do you think Saka has been a great player at any period since he first debuted?
How did we get back here?
No.
I don't know why we're going sidetrack again.
It's my fault. For whatever reason, I felt the need to take up for him.
Can we talk about Trossard today?
Trossard's
Trossard's a good example of a winger that would be like, oh my God, he's your best player, and then he's your worst player for like 6 weeks for no reason whatsoever. And then today, he was unbelievable again. He was like dribbling
strong.
Everyone, making great crosses. But when he played against Atletico a week ago, he's dribbling backwards and nearly giving away chances on our goal. So I don't know. Sometimes you get the good. And I'd like to talk about our players today that played well and not Ahmad or some other bums that aren't even in more than one competition.
Gyokeres.
Finally got there.
How do we get this thing, right?
No, don't do that.
Sorry.
It's like, you know.
You're a grown man. Come on, man.
Yeah, no, let's not be doing that.
I have to. He's good.
Yeah, I mean, look, I always think Alex Ferguson, when you read his book and he talked about you can train skill, but you can't train will. He went for a specific type of footballer. He went for people who'd come from nothing and had that attitude, and he bred that attitude. And I think, look, I cannot flip-flop and say that when we signed Viktor Gyökeres, it was not the profile of player I wanted, because I thought, you know, like I've not seen him much, but when I have seen him, he's been relatively anonymous, and I don't really rate him. And I see a lot of people giving Mikel Arteta crap for how badly Gyökeres has played. He doesn't play around it. But then I've seen Gyökeres pass the ball and it bounced 10 yards off him, and think, well, you know, like, what is Arteta supposed to do about that? You know, teach him to trap a ball. However, from the moment we signed him, apart from dumping his girlfriend, forcing his agent to pay £5 million and going, I'm coming, and then taking a 14 shirt, we don't have a lot of players in our team that have that level of confidence that would take the 14 shirt. I don't think there are that many players in world football that would do that. So when I thought profile in terms of skill and technical ability doesn't fit my profile, but you know what? Benjamin Šeško, who is somebody I've watched since he was at Salzburg and went to Leipzig, he's technically great. He's strong, he's physical. He's basically a basketball player, right? And he loves basketball. He's a really competent, intelligent person who had a little bit of homesickness when he left Salzburg to go to Leipzig. So we can joke about that as well if we want. But for me, he was technically miles above Gyökeres, but the attitude wasn't there. So for me, Viktor Gyökeres, people do all this all the time. Like everyone's got to be a FIFA level world-class player. You know what? One of my favourite ever Arsenal strikers, Alan Smith. Right? How many of you put him in your FIFA World 11? No,
smudge.
Right? But he's there. He fights for the team. Great intelligence. huge intelligence, right? And so, welcome to the homesickness. So I'm saying, look, he's got the attitude. And today, and I don't know if this is Arteta saying, hey, listen, today you can stay up front. But he stayed up front. He linked really well. There was a beautiful moment where Saka and the three of them are looking at each other and they know where they're going to go. And Saka, instead of going outside, cuts inside. And these are moments in this game where we saw the best of them. And to Martin's point, you can see a player, and on one given day, if a scout only sees a player on one day and makes a decision on it, that's a really bad scout. So as to this, I haven't changed my mind on a player. Like, how long does it take you to decide you don't like someone? And then how long are you never going to change your mind? Because honestly, I change my mind all the time on players. There's times where I think some Man United players are absolutely brilliant, and then there's times where I think they're absolutely terrible. But honestly, the longer you see a player like Saka, I think output has to be part of it. You have to say 4,000 minutes every season, goal contributions, man of the match contributions, game-changing moments. When you look back at Arsenal's, albeit I know we haven't been successful, but when you look at how close we've come and nearly successful, he's been in those minutes and those moments. So to say that I don't like him, you're entitled to like or dislike anyone you want, but it doesn't move me what people's opinions of Saka are, because on some level you have to decide for yourself, don't you?
Yeah.
With
Ahmed,
Gyökeres,
name all the wingers
before you go
better
there,
than Ahmed in the world. I'm not going to let Ahmed
We haven't got
do
time.
this, but he's going to
Just
name
about
like...
Gyökeres. Everyone
not
knows
gonna
that
name
I was
him.
not
Go
a
ahead.
fan. Everyone that watched Mo's stream knows that I didn't want Gyökeres. I wanted Sesko, and I got a lot of abuse for that because I didn't like the way he dribbles and controls the ball or whatever. Like, I saw it earlier. But even I didn't write the guy off because I know that I need him to perform. And the way he came and was like so committed that he didn't look worried for a second that he wasn't going to score enough goals or whatever. He was just, I'm going to come here and I'm going to score goals. And I respected that. Like, his mentality was way better than Sesko's. And he's shown it that, like, even with all the abuse that he's got, even a couple of weeks ago against Newcastle, the abuse.
He was better than Sesko. What do you mean?
Because Sesko said that he wasn't ready to go to Arsenal. He needed he saw Kai Havertz play and we scored 5 goals against Chelsea. There was this quote saying that he just didn't think he was good enough. And I'm like, well, obviously you're not. If you don't think you are, you've got no chance. But getting back on the point, you can't write off players completely. Like, all it does is all the time in the chat that we have, he shits on pretty much every player. And then when they score, he's like, yeah, woo, I love that guy. It's like, I can't be that guy who's whiplashing from like, I hate you to I love you.
That's just me playing the game. You know this, Martin,
yeah.
man. You know my sarcasm. You know how I am.
Okay,
Yeah,
watch
I
it.
do.
Can I ask a question? Martin, do you now admit that Staffy was right and it wasn't emotion? You are capable of offensive football. The question was, do Arsenal care about the performances or it's only about the results? Because today Arsenal played well, won emphatically 3-0, and it matters. I think today gave Arsenal more confidence.
It has to matter now because of where we are in the season.
Exactly. So there's a difference between, sorry, I know I'm talking quite a lot here. There's a difference between when Arsenal were 9 points ahead and had games in hand, right? Now we're in a situation where it's a shootout. At this point, like theoretically, Arsenal and Man City could finish on the same point. So at this point, offensive football matters because we need to score more goals than Man City to win the league. If Arsenal were still had a buffer of points, I don't care if we won 1-0 or we won 5-0.
Can I ask a question? Because you know you can do it, you saw your team do it today, and again, maybe there's other reasons that factor into it. Maybe, Fulham players weren't healthy or whatever, right? But you know you can. And now that it matters, you see your team go out there and you get 3 goals. Does that make you look back at parts of the season
I
and
think
say,
I can answer this. I think I've got this.
Go on.
Like, I mean, this is just
The
what's
question was to
happened.
me, guys. You guys are taking a turn. But anyway,
Sorry.
go.
no,
I'm
it
sure
was
you've
for
got- I'm
whoever.
sure you've
I mean,
got-
it was
I'm
for
sure you've
whoever.
got this as well.
Yeah, the
No,
original
I've
question.
done Husam in the chat throwing questions at me all the time. Like, you look how happy you are today. Why, if it wasn't for the performance difference between Newcastle and Fulham? I'm only happier because the other Arsenal fans aren't the worst people to be around in the entire world. Like, I was confident after we beat Newcastle. I didn't have a problem with the 1-0, but everyone else was focused on doom and blah. Like, that's what makes me unhappy, especially dealing with my own fan base.
I'd love to hear Dan's response though.
Yeah, Dan,
'cause
sorry
the-
about
No. Sorry to cut you. So, like, I mean, this is the thing, isn't it? We have failed to score goals recently. Our XG's been falling off a cliff a little bit. So that means all season we haven't been scoring goals. Actually, no one scored more goals than us in the Premier League. Now, I know Man City have 2 games in hand on us, so that could change dramatically. But that's Man City, you know? They buy Omar Mamouche when they want to. They buy Ryan Cherky and Reinders, and they, you know, like, this is... We're not what so because we're not quite as prolific as Man City, we've been rubbish, and today was the first time you've seen us. Aren't we the team that put 4 past Atletico? Didn't we get 3-1 against Inter Milan? Didn't we beat Bayern at home 3-1? We scored 7 against PSV. We are an attacking team as well. It's just that this season there have been periods in the season where we didn't just hit. Look, there are other things as well. I don't think we're clinical enough. We create chances, we don't finish.
Yeah.
Man United came to the Emirates and beat us 3-2 off an XG of like 0.78 or something. So they got the other way round. We, on the other hand, just don't seem to finish our dinner. And then you look at it and you go, well, okay, well, who are the big name? Havertz hasn't played all season. Jesus has never really been the same since his injury, and he's coming off a very long injury. We've got Viktor Gyökeres in his first season that some of us have already said doesn't really have the technical ability, certainly not in the same conversation as an Erling Haaland, is he? Or probably an Ekitike, or, you know, Alexander Isak, or all of these top-level players. But the idea that Arsenal aren't scoring goals, no one ever says, you know, they're not an attacking team, but they have scored the most goals in the Premier League.
But with United, though, when it comes to like attacking you, we just rely on them just purely on just
Man United haven't scored as many goals as Arsenal.
Individuality rather than just like on the system.
You haven't scored as many goals as Arsenal, and no one ever sits here and says, "Oh, Man United aren't attacking enough." You know, no one's saying Liverpool aren't attacking enough. They've scored 10 goals fewer than us this season.
Yeah, but
We
you're
are
going
scoring
for the
goals.
league. Man United aren't being asked to go.
Yeah, we're
shoot
going for the
out
league.
with City
We're
to
top
win
of the league. We're going
that's
for
the
it by
point.
being top with 3 games
Oh my
to go. Now,
God.
Man City.
No,
Are
Mo,
you
that's the-
serious?
What?
Hold
That's
on,
the point.
Dolo. Are you serious, Dan? So you're
About
telling
what?
me, are you about Man United? Are you comparing yourself to Manchester United and Liverpool
They're
this
third.
season?
United, by the way.
You're
They're
missing the
third.
point.
Nobody cares about Man
They're
United
third.
and Liverpool
What
this
I'm
season. They aren't
saying-
even on your level this
I
season.
can only be as simple as this. I'm saying that the idea that I'm sitting here defending the fact that Arsenal aren't an attacking team when no one can bring a team that scored more goals. I mean, who's more
But
attacking
that's
than
not
us?
the case.
Who scored more
The
goals
case
than
that you
Arsenal?
were scoring a lot of goals in the beginning of the season.
Who
you were
scored
getting a
more
lot of
goals in the
No,
whole
but-
season than
I
Arsenal?
don't care who scored a lot of goals in the season, Dan, because you are going on against Manchester City. In the facts are, Dan, you can manipulate the truth all you want, right? The reality
No.
is, I'm telling you what Dan is doing. I am telling you what Dan is doing. Listen, I like that. I'm the
So
one
who
who
scored
actually.
the most goals? Like, that's what I'm saying. Who's the most
But it's
attacking
all
team?
about how-
The ones that scored the third most
it's all-
goals.
it-
But
it's
Mo,
not-
go back
it's
to
all
what
about-
people were
can I
talking about
talk?
Arsenal at the start of the season was that we didn't
I was
score
gonna talk
goals
about
until
Arsenal.
we got a set piece. Remember, we had to
I
get a
was
set
gonna-
piece, and then we would unlock and we would start scoring like 4 or 5 goals. And that is the thing. We didn't have our swagger recently. We didn't have our confidence. And that even at 1-0, we were still like nervous about losing that position. I think that we've just seen the release of that. And I don't think it's the manager telling people, "Oh no, don't attack, pass backwards, pass side. What are you doing? Don't go forwards, don't score goals." I mean, that's the most ridiculous stuff.
I mean,
ever.
like the thing about you know, like last
Am I
week
going to be
when-
allowed to say my
No, no,
opinion?
you're not.
Because
No,
Dan
no,
now,
you go away.
Dan now
Remember-
thinks that I'm
Martin,
calling him a manipulative guy. But
Martin,
no,
remember last
what, the
week-
way
wait, one second.
way-
Martin, remember last week when Arteta was pointing down the line to Gyokeres, people were saying, "Oh, he's pointing down to good. He's darkened up." People said, "Oh, he's pointing down the line to the corner flag." No, he was pointing to the space to say attack the space, right? But people would just look at it and go, "They've got an agenda to make," so they say. And also, if you look at Man City, at some point, Man City were not scoring a lot of goals. Would you have said?
Olu, you
Man
think
City-
everything's an agenda, don't you, Olu? I've clocked it with
Pretty much
Olu.
everything
No,
is an agenda.
No, because
Everything's an agenda.
yes, everything's an agenda when people cannot be objective.
Objective about what? About who in particular?
Oh my goodness, what are you objective about what? I mean, what am I talking about right now? At least you give me the
camera just
scenario
went
about
off,
what to
innit?
be objective.
My screen just went off. What about Gyökeres? About
No,
Gyökeres?
it's not about Gyökeres. I'm saying about the fact that when people say Arsenal are not an attacking team, and to what Dan has said, which was actually Arsenal have scored the most goals, and even though Man City have got,
But you can't just look at that, by the way.
And that also means that City are one of the best defenses in the league. Do you agree?
Yes. Objectively, you got one of the best.
Yeah, but you can't just look at a team having the most goals without actually watching them.
What are we doing here?
Out,
Seriously, you're saying we're not attacking. I'm saying, on what basis are you saying we're not attacking?
I was about to answer this, Dan,
please,
but nobody
please
gave
Mo.
me a chance.
Please do, Mo. I'm dying.
Okay.
I want to hear it.
In the beginning, here's the reality.
I'm joking.
This is what happened. In the beginning of the season, until like January, I'm on record said that Arsenal, anyone that says that Arsenal are a defensive team, they're lying. The reason why Arsenal were dominant, Arsenal used to create chance. By the way, I don't care if you create the chance by a set piece, by a penalty, by crossing, by shooting, it doesn't matter. Arsenal actually were used to create a lot of chances, used to win a lot of games by emphatically. Even the 1-0s or the 2-0s that Arsenal used to win, they were emphatic wins. What I mean by this, Arsenal used to waste a lot of chances, create a lot and waste, but then score. There came a period where Arsenal stopped creating chances from set pieces or not from set pieces. Your XG for 10 games went below 1 in every single game of these games. Even the Everton game. And I think that is what I think happened for some whatever reason. And I don't know what happened then, because is it fatigue? Is it pressure? Is it people are scared? As Martin actually has a point. Maybe Arsenal were protective a little bit of like, we want to win 1-0. We don't want to actually open up. In my opinion, today showed the levels that Arsenal showed in the beginning of the season, especially from September all the way until end of December or mid-January, where Arsenal used to dominate teams going forward, create a lot of chances. Maybe Gyökeres used to waste chances. Madueke used to waste chances. Martinelli used to waste chances, whoever. But Arsenal used to create these chances for them to waste. There came a point where there came a point where Arsenal weren't as attacking as before. By that, the players used to start, instead of passing forward, will keep the ball defensively. Will keep the ball between the defenders. Raya would go long more than not. And that is the point. That is my problem with Arsenal. I'm not saying that Arsenal weren't attacking, but came a period where Arsenal weren't attacking.
Well, that's a great point, because it's rooted in your assertion that there was like 10 games in a row where we went 1-1 XG per game. Right? That's what you said. You said that there was a period where Arsenal... And there isn't such a period. There has not been such a period in the Premier League. So now that you know... That
all competitions. All competitions.
Oh, all right. Okay, but I mean, we haven't in the Champions League either. So we've been banging them in the Champions League. So unless we've been scoring 3 goals against Bayern Munich with under 1 XG, I don't know when that was happening. So look, yeah, the reality is your argument is based on your impression of data which is inaccurate. Like, the accurate data is that we have always scored over 1 XG. And even in games where we haven't performed well in terms of scoring goals, although, as I did point out earlier, we have scored the most goals in the Premier League. So it seems like a weird standard to be held to when having the most goals isn't enough. And there's people in the comments going, goals don't mean you're an attacking team. Okay, but let's look at some other data. The amount of time Arsenal spend in the attacking half, passes into the area. All of these, they all point to the fact that whilst we may have occasional problems finishing, we are scoring and we are attacking. And we don't have a period, I'm looking at it now, where we've gone under 1 XG for 2 games in a row. I've got a problem with the whole discourse around attacking and defending. And I don't know. I mean, I played as a centre-back, so maybe I rate defending more than other people, but finding the right balance between defense and attack is like, it's like being a good boxer. Do you just go out there and throw haymakers with both hands at the same time and leave yourself defenseless? No, you don't. You put your hands up and you take a jab when you see an opportunity. And I think we're trying to be mature now, not just that naive team from 22-23 where we thought, yeah, we can jog a Benito our way to a title. What happens is you lose the ball in the midfield and you get scored against the Premier League. And this has been an Arsenal thing for like 15 years, as long as I can remember. So Arteta's probably got the same derangement built into him that this team can't defend. And if we focus on defense, we know that we can attack if we just let ourselves express themselves properly, like the players learn to communicate, stuff like that. I just think the narrative around this PSG Bayern game has made everyone think that there's only one play to play with football, and it's all out attack constantly,
regardless of what's going on the other side of the pitch.
So what's funny about that game is that the game against Atletico and listen, I was joking around saying it would be an absolute stinkfest, right? The game against Arsenal against Atletico was actually a pretty good game, but a lot of people had already made up their mind that it was going to be a bad game, and so you saw that the discourse was that it was a bad game. No, actually, objectively, it was actually quite a good game to watch, right? It wasn't just defending all throughout, right? They had good chances, we had good chances. But what I say is this, right? Especially during the period of season when we were very dominant, I think the lack of jeopardy Arsenal were going through made Arsenal look boring because it felt like Arsenal were just scoring and winning.
Like watching City used to be boring because they had no jeopardy that they would lose, right?
There's a time when we go, oh, all City do is pass, score, and then the game is boring to watch. But the minute it became there was more jeopardy against City, people were like, oh, actually, this is quite exciting because it's back and forth. When Arsenal in a back and forth situation, Arsenal become less boring to watch. When Arsenal are dominant, Arsenal a boring team to watch. And the whole thing about corners as well is that, again, Arsenal scored 18 corners and we scored 73 goals or whatever it is. I don't know the exact number, which means that like over a fifth of our goals, more 4/5 of our goals are actually.
Yeah, I think it's about 24% of our goals come from
corners,
set pieces or corners, because the narrative has dropped since Man United have tried to get Bruno as player of the year.
So, set pieces. So set pieces, right?
We haven't scored from a free kick, have we?
No. So that means that basically there's a huge percentage of our goals which come from open play, but for some reason it doesn't mean Arsenal attacking. Like it just objectively just does not make sense. If Arsenal had 13 goals all season, you'd go, hey, they're a poor attacking team. If they're scoring the most goals.
When you're analysing data, often corners are an important thing to look at because you don't get corners if you're not attacking. Do you know what I mean? You don't get a corner from your own box, do you? Essentially, the teams with the most corners tend to be the teams that are most often pressing around the opposition area. So, corners it's not a brilliant metric for studying it. But I think if anyone wants to tell me why they think Arsenal aren't an attacking side, and at the same time go, look, you might have scored the most goals, but you're not an attacking side. It's just an odd.
They don't rate any of the attackers, though. That's the issue. None of them
rate anything about us. They don't rate anything. If we ever win anything, there'll be some very good reason why we won it. They won't
have I told you how Ahmed feels about Saka yet?
He loves him. Everyone loves Starboy. Who could not love him? He plays for England.
Just kidding.
But don't you think it's a bit ridiculous that people can be so invested in what happens after, say, Arsenal go 1-0 up? The expectation is to go for it, attack. But from a tactical standpoint, if you let the other team attack you, then now you're going to have a whole bunch of opportunities that you didn't have before from counter-attacking. So I feel like there's too much involvement. People are too invested in the minutiae.
Not to be devil's advocate, because I like your point, but I tend to just have to be in game theory. The only sensible strategy in football where you get 3 points for a win and 1 point for a draw is when we're 1-0 up to attack. That's the game theory suggestion. And what's frustrating is, and I don't know if we can bring this into a conversation if anyone else cares enough about it, but when Arsenal go 1-0 up and then sit back and defend, everyone goes, well, Arteta must be telling them to do it. Against Newcastle, he said his halftime team talk was go out there and get another goal, but just no one listened to him. So I don't know where the disconnect is, but I think these are players who are a bit scared. And
But also, Dan, to that point as well, sometimes the other team, remember, football is a game played between two teams. And sometimes the other team will impose their will on a game. They'll get the ball, they'll pass the ball better, they'll move the ball faster, they'll be in better positions because they have to be, right? And sometimes there's nothing you can do about it. I'll take a great example. Brazil versus Germany in the World Cup. Do you remember that? 7-1. No matter what Brazil wanted to do, there's nothing they could have done. The goals were just going to rain in because the state of the game, the flow of the game just meant that they had no control of the game, right? And even if they tried, they could have continued playing that game for 180 minutes and they would never go back into the game. Because sometimes the other team just finds itself in a position where it's much better. So this is where it's sometimes a coach will say, I told him not to defend. And sometimes you see a coach screaming, get out. But sometimes the other team will just impose his will on you and there's nothing you can do about it. And sometimes you just got to dig deep, defend, and hope for victory. But, yeah.
I think the teams we're talking about in this instance are Wolves, You know, like they imposed their will on us when we were 2-0 up. And I think there's a disconnect. There was clearly something that's not quite happening. I mean, he was shouting at Odegaard as well, because Odegaard decided to drop like centre half deep to pick up balls. And he was saying, I asked him not to do that. For me, if I was the owner of the club at a certain point, I'd be like, well, if they're not listening to you, maybe that's like 15
There's a
million
difference
quid a year
between
I
a
could save.
manager's request and desire and what the game calls for.
Yeah,
and I can
100%.
understand Odegaard going back and getting the ball if he's not getting it in his position, because obviously we're struggling to play out from the back, and then you just end up chasing long balls from Raya. So I think that, you have to give the captain the ability to make decisions on the field. And,
Yeah,
it's
and
just
that,
that
by
he's got to-
definition, means you have to give him the ability to make the wrong decisions as well.
And people know he does. That's for sure. Odegaard's the most hated player. Sorry, Mo. You look like
Mo
you're...
looks bored.
No, I'm listening and I'm like, if Dan thinks that Arsenal are an attacking team, God help you watching football, Dan. I'm sorry, with all due respect.
Whoa.
If you're watching,
Shots fired.
if you're watching the last 10 games,
No,
and
hold
you
on.
think that
Hold
Arsenal,
on.
hold on,
10 games.
because that was last 10, okay, since March, early March, I'm watching Arsenal and I see a team that is struggling going forward. Is it coaching or is it chance creation? And I asked this question multiple times. I asked, is it players' quality? Is Saka being missing? Is Gyökeres struggling? But the conclusion for me watching Arsenal over the last 2 months, Dan, was Arsenal aren't great going forward. They aren't free-flowing. They aren't creating chances like today. Players aren't moving enough, Dan. But you wanna tell me that that is based on an agenda that didn't happen. You just said
I
that.
didn't say agenda.
You
I
said
just said agenda once.
you just said that no, that didn't happen. We scored the most goals.
No,
Saying that,
you
said
said,
XG.
you,
You said
no,
XG.
specific. You said that there's been 10 games. In
I
a
went
row
and
where
checked
we
the
were
games.
under-
I think I read that
Yeah.
and I went and checked the games. I was probably wrong about that. I read that
that's what I was
stat
saying.
on Twitter. Okay. However, you're still watching Arsenal in a lot of games where they score goals. Even when you score goals against Everton, for example, I thought you struggled to create enough chances, even though you won. But there
Everton
is
played really well.
Everton defended well, but Arsenal also struggled to create chances.
Yeah,
Against
not disagreeing
Brighton,
with that.
I understand. Against Bayer
When was the last time
Leverkusen,
we
you
didn't
didn't.
score?
Again, you see, this is the conversation. I don't care about scoring. Because
Or
you.
XG?
It's okay. It's not about scoring. It's about the attacking brand of football. We aren't talking about scoring. You're still top of the league. You won the most games in the league. I'm not talking about the scoring goals. You scored the most goals in the league. I'm talking about the style and the attacking flair of Arsenal and the attacking plays and the fluidity we saw today and the amount of chances you create in the game. That's what I'm talking about. I didn't speak. By the way, I didn't talk about the scoring because nobody scored more goals than Arsenal. Maybe City, when they play their 2 games in hand, will catch up Arsenal. But I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, they didn't score because of 1 goal. I'm talking about the attacking plays that Arsenal have. I think they have been lacking for 2 months. In my opinion. But but Dan, you wanted to convince me that I was...
No.
No, I didn't see that. No.
No, I didn't want to
saw that
convince you of
even every
anything.
time...
I don't want to convince you of anything, Mo. You can have any opinion you like. You said there were 10 games in a row. I don't think Arsenal are an attacking side because there were 10 games in a row where we had under 1 XG. And I said, if that's the reason you think that, then the supposition is wrong. If there's now another reason you don't think we're attacking, and it's not the goals we score or the goals we nearly score, but something else, then I'm happy for that to
So
be
let's
true.
establish. So let's come to the common ground before we actually move forward. Do you agree or you disagree with the statement that Arsenal for the last 2 months have not been good going forward and attacking wise?
I think if you're saying that we're not attractive going forward, I think anyone would agree with that. Yeah.
No, I don't want to change attractive. Arsenal have not been good attacking wise. Not attractive, not entertainment.
So-
I'm saying have not been good going forward. If you want me to elaborate on what I mean, sorry, Olo. If you want me to elaborate on what do I mean by being good, I can elaborate.
Can I just
To
answer
elaborate,
that?
no, sorry, Ole. Let me finish. I didn't speak. Let me finish. To elaborate on being good, Arsenal don't create enough chances per game. Arsenal don't have the same adventure as before in the beginning of the season. Arsenal aren't effective going forward as the beginning of the season. Is that fair to say?
Yeah,
No.
I think. Sorry, there is
think-
that is 100% fair because on big chances
That's
created,
all.
we've fallen off. That's a fact. You
that
can't
was my
disagree
whole
with that.
point.
But
Thank
the
you.
reason why I disagree.
I don't know.
is because
The
I think-
reason
no,
why,
no,
I don't
no,
know.
no.
Maybe we can discuss the reasons why.
Yeah,
this
that's-
is.
I don't know the reason either.
No, the reason why I disagree is because I think you're looking at a snapshot of maybe 2 months over was it 9 months season, right? So you're looking at a specific period of time, right? That's why even in the beginning of this conversation, when I talked about from Man City onwards, Arsenal have actually played better minus Newcastle, right? Because this is what happens. Sometimes we take a period of time, we make our conclusion based on that period of time, and then that defines the whole season. And then you said at the start of the season,
I never said
Arsenal
that defines the whole season at all.
No, but I'm just saying, because the reason why I'm going to come back to the exact question is, are Arsenal an attacking team or are Arsenal fluid in attack? Because those are two different things. Arsenal are an attacking team by default. They
Yes.
try to impose themselves.
100%.
Now, were they fluid enough during the attack during that period of time? No, they weren't. And we have to be able to distinguish those two things. But some people will turn around and say, Arsenal are a defensive team. Arsenal not an attacking team.
I
And that
always,
is incorrect.
you know me. You watch my content and you know me.
Yeah, I know.
I always said that anyone that says that Arsenal are a defensive team, they don't watch football. Because the defensive team will not camp in the opposition's half. A defensive team will not commit 8 players going forward all the time. A defensive players will not push the fullbacks to do overlaps. That's not what a defensive team does. A defensive player will not push the 2 center backs to stay halfway line most of the time. That's not a defensive team, right?
But you have to
So
understand
I pushed
there's still a
against
paradox
this.
between like the most attacking team and the ones which have the most goals. Like it seems ridiculous that we're not an attacking team without good attackers, yet we have the most goals in the Premier League. What does this say about?
And
It
also
says
with
one
Odegaard
thing
as
I
well,
always,
like-
Martin, it says one thing I always said, that Mikel Arteta is a fantastic coach and people don't see it. I've said that
I'll
multiple
use that one.
times.
And
And
also
people
when there
said,
was attacking,
and
yeah.
people called me an Arteta sexual for this. And I said multiple
No,
times,
that's Martin. That's Martin.
for him to be still
boy.
up there, and I keep saying this, for Arteta to be up there and actually keep the same level of competition with City or with Liverpool or whatever, stay there, with the inept players that he has sometimes, that they actually go on games where they're like sometimes I'm watching Martinelli, I'm like, how does this guy get chosen in the 18, let alone the starting 11 after like, and sometimes you watch Martinelli in the Champions League and you would think, oh my God, how is it the same guy? For example, you watch Trossard today and you think, how was it the same guy that played 2 weeks ago? Like, how are you
3 days
today
ago.
can dribble and come, and it's about simple things. It's about simple passes that they execute versus simple passes that they just pass to the opposition. How is the same guy passing the ball to his teammate versus passing the ball to the opposition? And I don't understand this. And that's why I said, for Arteta, with Saka being injured most of the season, with Odegaard being in our team, for some whatever reason, for him to stay up there is an achievement for him. But that's not enough for Arsenal, is it? Because Arsenal at the end won the title, right? Because that's the big club's need. Like that's not. We're not talking about Brighton here. We're talking about Arsenal that need the title at the end. That's not me sitting here and saying, "Oh, it's an achievement if you come second." No, it's not. I'm just stating the fact that I'm gonna tell you something that a lot of people will not actually admit. 15 out of the 20 teams in the league will not take Madueke, Martinelli, Gyökeres as their front line. And I'm talking about the likes of West Ham. If you ask West Ham fans, they would tell you, no, I wouldn't take these guys.
Somerville over.
Yet-
No.
Like ask them, would you take them over Bowen and Somerville and whoever plays up front? They'll tell you, no, I wouldn't. I would stick with my guys.
When they was more
Leeds-
attacking, though, when they was more
Let me just
attacking,
finish
then-
that point,
Yeah,
just
go on,
because
go on,
that
go on.
point, I'll land the plane now. But then they tell you Arteta's a shit coach. So how
Yeah.
come this equation it doesn't add up? Because you wouldn't
Ruining the
take the
players.
guys, you wouldn't take Madueke and you say that he's shit and Bowen is better, but Arsenal are second or first and you are 17th. It's like, so that means Arteta's a genius then, or something doesn't add up, right? Correct?
Yeah.
What Ahmed, I'd love to hear the point you're going to make there.
No, I was going to ask when they was obviously more attacking in it. I've always said this with Arteta, bro. He's at a stage in his career where he wants to win the title, and it's sort of style of play is not really going to be a necessity for him. So he's not going to play this football that he played 2-3 years ago. Who was your midfield three when he was more attacking? It was Partey, Ødegaard as well when he was much better. Because I believe Ødegaard, for how you were playing, he was massively integral. I don't know if it's injuries or whatever in it, but him falling off a cliff here, I do believe it's played a part in how you're not as attacking as much Ødegaard because he was making everything tick. And Partey as well.
People have been talking
Partey
about
too.
Granit,
Partey was
Granit
integral.
Xhaka when he was before we got
Yeah,
Rice
and
and
you've essentially,
Granit Xhaka was left out.
Yeah, but the best Arsenal attacking was Partey,
22, 23.
Party,
Right.
was it Party, Odegaard and
23,
Gyökeres?
23-24.
It was
actually,
Party,
in my
Odegaard and
opinion.
Gyökeres, yeah?
No.
Yeah, you're right.
It was actually
No,
Jorginho, Rice, and Odegaard.
Yeah, it was the season when we came back from Dubai and we just kept scoring like
Jorginho, Rice,
minimum 3
Odegaard.
goals. That was the best
Was
attack. in Arsenal.
Jorginho, was he starting? Or was he starting?
He played
He
the
did a
Villa
lot,
game. I remember the Villa game. Like every Arsenal
I
fan
would say
Original nine.
22-23 were better.
So I want to go back to the attacking. So Dan, why do you think Arteta holds them back in April and March
Well,
this season? This season.
Yeah, no, I think that he just burns them out. Like, I think there is a certain area of this where the stress gets to them. You could explain it by saying that the pressure gets to non-elite players, and some people have the right outlook. I think Odegaard is a technically very good player, and I'm not trying to jump in on the shouldn't be captain. But I think he feels the pressure more than Eze. I think Eze is, you see him smiling and joking when he's being interviewed after matches and he's saying, I don't really listen to pundits because you talk too much. Miles Lewis-Skelly today did a great post-match interview. Viktor Gyökeres is Viktor Gyökeres. He's just, there are players who are like, bring it on. Zlatan Ibrahimovic type people who go, I'm doing it now. And I think we've overplayed the players who are a little bit nervous. So I don't think he's necessarily holding them back, but I do think that when you see Zubimendi and look, Madueke, I've said this a few times now, I would never sign a petition. It's the weakest thing in football, but I would now maybe. Do you
No
know
more
what I mean?
Chelsea players.
I don't know. I mean, there isn't any that
Garnacho's
I'd have
coming.
now, but I don't like this whole you shouldn't sign
Garnacho's
people
coming.
from. I thought Petr Cech was good. Willian.
But the fluid attack, you can't play that fluid attack if Gyökeres is your number 9, though, innit? It's the same with Man City and Haaland. Obviously with Man City, they've accommodated to feed Haaland, but they're not going to be this scintillating, on the ball ridiculous like the Centurions, innit? Because they had they had Jesus playing there. They sometimes saw Foden as a false 9. They saw Jesus play off the wing. So in terms of trying to find that fluid attack, bro, you can't do that with a number 9 like Gyökeres, essentially.
I do agree with Armin in that point. I think that Arteta's
And it's the same with
system-
Haaland, isn't it? But obviously Haaland's just a much better version, much better,
Yeah.
innit? So
But I think it's even more down to the system. I think that Arteta's system is very much based around players being able to link together and move around the pitch very comfortably, whereas Gyökeres is a get in behind, sort of get into space as much as possible. And I think that, look, when we had Eddie Nketiah, we had the same problem, right? He's not a link player. He tries to be, but he's not a link player. I think that his system just naturally is built around players being interchangeable, and Gyökeres is just not did not have the technical levels. And you're right, I don't think that you see the best attacking version of Arsenal with Gyökeres in it, even though today obviously proves otherwise. But you notice that when someone like Havertz is in, with all his deficiency, Arsenal look a lot more fluid. And even Jesus, as much as he's dropped off a cliff, even then Arsenal a lot more fluid when he's on the pitch than
Havertz
when
and Jesus
Yeah,
come
it's a
on and
quality
make
thing.
like
It's a quality thing. If you had Ekitike or Joao Pedro as your number 9, your football will change. Simple as that. It's a quality thing, innit? Your wingers. Will
I
probably-
actually don't think with the style that Arsenal play. I actually don't think so. Arsenal, for some of everything, when Gabriel Jesus comes in, he actually gets in the way of other players. Arsenal don't like the false 9
Havertz
anymore.
is
I
like
actually
Ekitike. It's the guy that can take possession and move and then make space, but he's not the finisher. And Gyökeres is the finisher, but he's nothing else. And he's one of the only strikers I've ever seen where he has to have the perfect ball for him to be able to get a shot on target. You used to be able to just lump a ball up to
that's
the
a red
striker, and
flag
they would wrestle for it, they would make space, they would shoot top ins from outside the box. Gyökeres is like, okay, I need it exactly at 32 kilometers an hour off my right foot.
Yeah, but Jesus at the
And
highest
then I'll
level of
score
football,
every
innit?
time.
He had the.
But do you know, Martin? Do you know why? Because he sets himself, and he's very
Let us-
awkward when he sets himself.
Let me
Just
respond
watch-
to this.
So 1 second. Just watch his feet. Every time he gets the ball, he's about to shoot. Watch his feet. He takes 2 or 3 extra steps before he shoots, and that's why he always shoots the ball very late. You almost have to force him to hit
He's
the
just
ball
got, he
first
thinks he's
time.
got more time than he does, maybe, or he can take more touches than he can.
No,
but
I think it's more of a. I think it's just the way he's played football all his life. I think you
But the
just never
Premier League
get
will
away
eat
from
you
it.
up alive unless you instantly shoot and have a short backlift. You're not getting most of these shots off, and if they are, they're getting
Tariq,
blocked.
I know you have to go, Tariq. I know you have to go.
He's 27. He's never going to change.
Let me respond to this just quickly. Mo, please list the number of goals by the top 3 teams. So I went in and I made the table from March 1st. until April 30th, which is 2 months. Brighton played 7, scored 12. Man United played 7, scored 12. Forest played 7, scored 16. Arsenal played 6, scored 8. Man City played 5, scored 9. West Ham played 6, scored 8, similar to Arsenal. Fulham played 7, scored 6. Liverpool played 6, scored 10. So basically, if you look at this, Arsenal between March and April have the lowest percentage for themselves. And I'm not comparing Arsenal to United or Liverpool, because I think Arsenal are levels above these teams, in my opinion. For themselves, Arsenal in March and April have actually slowed down in attack. Ahmed is the one. Where's Ahmed? What happened to him?
I'm gonna drop. So
by the way.
come on.
Yeah. Okay.
I got me mixed up with Tarek. You know.
Later, fellas.
See you, Tarek. Lovely to meet you.
Get relegated.
So the reality is Arsenal attack have slowed down. I actually think it's because the midfield stopped actually taking initiative to go forward. And I think Mikel Arteta, and I've seen it many times, and I know that coach sometimes will tell players, I want more control. I want you to have control of this guy. And I think I've seen it. Like, players actually on the pitch, they want to dominate position. They want to control it. But they can't. In the beginning of the season, Arsenal used to dominate position. They used to camp around the 18 of the opposition and literally dominate position in the final third. And people used to say, how is the Arsenal's fullback have the most touches in the final third? Because Arsenal are camping there, basically. Arsenal used to camp around the 18. Now, I see Arsenal passing the ball more at the back, Raya going long. They don't play the
They don't have that
channels.
difference maker in the middle, bro. They need that guy. Yeah, in the
Eze
middle.
is. You watch Eze?
It's on purpose. It's on purpose as well. You got to understand, like, as teams over the season, as teams start to adapt towards you, you have to find new ways of playing football. Arsenal deliberately are going long now, and I remember, like,
Gyökeres, right?
yeah, like I remember, like, I didn't watch the Carling Cup final, whatever it's called, what the Carabao Cup final, right? Because once I saw what's his name?
You didn't watch it?
Yeah, I was with my kids as well, so
All right.
yeah. But I remember, like, once I saw what's his name? What's the name of the goalkeeper? Kepa.
Kepa, yeah.
Yeah, once we
We'll
saw
not say
Kepa,
that name again.
I knew, like, there was a disaster that was going to happen. And even the tactics that Man City, like, employed, I said, if Raya was there, he would have beat that press a lot better than him, right? Because teams adapt. Like, Pep adapted his tactics to counteract what Arsenal do. Especially, like, he changed his tactics specifically to play against Arsenal in that game. What you see now is that Arsenal are also now adapting the tactics to how teams play against them. So teams believe that now they can do what the Pep thing is, which is try to press as high as possible. And so Arsenal just hitting it long as much as they can.
But they've been doing this thing where they hold off our centre backs and only block the passing lanes, and it's kind of like an arms race. You've got to keep reinventing yourself, otherwise you'll get found out. That's what you were saying.
Yeah, 100%. Listen, I want to thank everyone that joined us. Dan, what do you got coming up?
Wait, Mo. We're not going to talk about tomorrow. There's a big game tomorrow, and we're not going to talk about it.
Nobody cares. You know, Man United already made Champions League.
Who said anything about
Nah,
Man
but
United?
I see. By the way, I just want to say something to Hassan. Hassan's a fraud, by the way, by downplaying that game.
We're talking about Tottenham here.
Trying to downplay that game in it. Yeah, let's not act like as if we was to beat them, and when we do beat them, he's not going to be a few minutes. So him trying.
Why
to say,
are we talking about Man United? We're talking about Tottenham here. We're talking about
Yes.
Tottenham, Aston Villa. That's what we care about.
Do you know how this game makes a massive difference? You know, if Villa win the game, they confirm themselves as a Champions League team, regardless of Europa League.
They are anyway.
So if Villa win, it's massive. Actually, Spurs win help Spurs win help Arsenal a lot. Actually,
I don't care. I want them down
because of the West Ham loss today.
Oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Listen,
They have to go down. Villa have to win. Villa have to turn up tomorrow.
Exactly.
I'm not really asked about Tottenham going down.
I don't think I care as much as
I don't care really. I mean, like,
I do. No, you know what? Do I? Let me say why you guys just care. How funny it is. It's just
It
so
will be
funny.
generational.
Do you know how funny it is for Tottenham to get relegated? In fact, just the position they're in right now, where they spent all the money, they've brought all these players, and they've changed managers 3 times this season, and they keep losing. You can't tell me that's not funny. You might not have a rivalry with Tottenham, Like Arsenal fans, even I don't think Arsenal fans really have a rivalry with Tottenham. They're just there. They are noisy neighbours, basically, right? But it's just funny just to watch Tottenham struggle
I
with
hear
all
it
the
from
players.
an Arsenal perspective, yeah.
No,
It's
I think for
important.
football,
It's not even just funny. It's important for the good of the game.
Bingo. It's important for the good of the game. It's for the football
It must
pyramid.
happen. It must happen.
and also
I've waited
Mo,
long enough.
one final thing to say, Ahmed, I am proud of Man United for actually not finishing in minus goal difference for the first time in 2
That's
seasons.
great. That is
We
great.
have to just give you guys a round of applause.
Really.
That's an attacking
It
team.
finally happened.
Bro, we're
Forget the
slapping the
Champions
Scousers
League.
tomorrow, bro. Listen,
Forget
let's
the
don't worry about
Champions
goal
League.
difference, man.
No, forget the Champions League. What was
If you
important,
win
I remember
7-0
I gave-
tomorrow, you will catch up to Arsenal in the best
Yeah.
attacking
Bro,
league.
listen, yeah.
But
Listen,
no, but remember-
Goals don't make attacking teams.
It's not our we're slapping them, bro. It's not our gaff as well. It's
Mo,
not our gaff.
Mo,
And simple as
the
that.
reason I say this though is remember at the start of the season I said the challenge I give out to Man United is to finish the season with a positive goal difference, and as a man of my word, I have to congratulate when this happened. So we've got
Yeah,
3
well, the
games. 4
season's
games
not
left.
over yet. Slow down.
Yeah, but they're not gonna finish on minus. So you know what? Congratulations to Man United on finally finishing in
Another
a positive
7-0
goal
tomorrow
difference.
could help.
Anyway, listen, I want to thank everyone that joined us. Dan channel in the description if you like Dan, and I know a lot of you guys like Dan. It's fantastic panel. It's one of the
He's
best
alright.
additions to the channel over the last
Oh,
2
yes.
3 years,
Oh,
to be
yes.
honest with you.
I'm going to
It's
bluff.
phenomenal that we're
I love
getting
being here.
requests from people. We're getting requests from people to actually have Dan on the channel even more. Big up Ahmed for being here with your channel. Ahmed's channel in the description. Olo and Martin, thank you for joining us. Guys, this will take you to the Liverpool show on Husam's channel, of course. It's only Liverpool
I thought you
panel.
don't care. I
The
thought you don't care.
Liverpool, they have a Liverpool show. Go there, guys.
What's
And-
the raid? What are we calling it?
I don't know. What are we saying to rate Hussam?
Bro,
I
just
don't
put
know.
Cobby's clear of Steven Gerrard, bro. Let's just do that, innit? Let's just do that.
No. What you need to put is
No,
just
this one, this one.
homesickness. Homesickness.
The home
Okay,
sickness
hold on.
raid. Yeah, okay, do that.
No. This is the
That'll be
one.
good after this.
Guys, Hussam feet kicked up. Just type this in his chat, guys. Hussam feet kicked
Okay.
up. He will know exactly what I'm talking about.
Left it in
Just
the tree
type this
stuff.
in his chat. We'll see you guys there. We're out of here.